periods 1, 3, and 4, I am going to work out all the problems on the exit card. You need to redo any problem you missed on the exit card while watching my video. If you have a problem correct, you can skip over that problem. So for instance, if you only missed problems 1, 3, and 4, you only have to watch the video of this on problems 1, 3, and 4. You will need to do your corrections on a separate piece of paper and attach it to the original exit card and turn that in on Tuesday. And remember, the point of doing these exit card corrections is we have a test tomorrow, and I'm trying to help you prepare for that test. Okay, here's problem number 1 on the exit card. So first thing you should have done was change the mixed numbers to improper fraction. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13 over 5, and then you add the negative to it. Plus 2/3 doesn't need to be changed. And then minus 6 times 7 is 42, plus 5 is 47 over 6. Okay, we're ready for a common denominator. The common denominator of 5, 3, and 6 is 30. So I'm going to make them all over 30. All right, if you take 5 times 6, 13 times 6 is 78. 3 times 10 is 30, so 2 times 10 is 20. 6 times 5 is 30, so 47 times 5. When I use my calculator, that turns into 235. Okay, when I combine the first two, 78 and 20 is 98, and then minus 235, I would add the opposite. I can use my calculator, but I have to subtract those. Oops, I'm going to backtrack here. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back here. This was supposed to be a negative. Sorry, that should be a negative 78, which means right here, well, my eraser's not working. There we go. Okay. Negative 78 plus 20, sorry, those are different signs, so I should subtract. So that's negative 58. Now if I minus 235 and I add the opposite, they're all the same sign. So therefore, when I add them together, I get negative 293 over 30. So that was a perfect example of what I've seen you guys do. When you drop the negative, it changes the whole problem. All right, we're going to go on to problem number 2. Alright, here's problem number 2, negative 8 and 3/4 minus negative 4 and 5/6. Again, I need to make them improper fractions, so 4 times 8 is 32, plus 3 is 35 over 4, and of course I'm going to make sure I bring down my negative, minus, and a negative, 6 times 4 is 24, plus 5 is 29 over 6. My common denominator of these two fractions is 12. Now, notice I'm going to bring down my negative, my minus, and my negative so I don't forget them this time. Right here, 4 times 3, so 35 times 3 is 105. 6 times 2, 29 times 2, that's 58. So now I know my answer is over 12. And if I look at negative 105 minus negative 58, I know I have to add the opposite. I have different signs, so I'm going to subtract. When I take 105 minus 58, that's 47. And because the 105 is bigger, I know my answer is negative 47/12. Okay, we're going to go on to 3. Okay, here's problem number 3. And first of all, just forget this 4. It shouldn't be in the picture. So negative 6 and 2/3 times 5 and 1/4 times negative 16/5. So now we're multiplying. So I still have to change the mixed numbers to improper fractions. 6 times 3 plus 2 is 20 over 3. And I'm going to make sure I bring down my negative. 5 and 1/4. 4 times 5 is 20 plus 1 is 21 over 4. Times negative 16 over 25. Okay, at this point, I'm ready to do some simplifying, so let's see here. And you may not have simplified the same way I'm going to. 3 goes into 21 7 times. 4 goes into 20. I'm going to have a negative 5 left. Let's see here. 5 can go into 25 5 times. Of course, I still have that negative, and I have a negative here. So if I look at the top, it looks like I have 7 times 16, or 7 times negative 16. That's negative 112. But I also have this negative here, so that's a negative and a negative. That's going to make a positive. So it's just 112 over, there's a 5 on the bottom. So my answer is positive 112 over 5. And I saw a lot of you had a negative. So remember, if you have a negative here and a negative here, two negatives make a positive. All right, we're going to go on to question 4. Okay, question number 4, we start the order of operations section. So I'm going to show you the way you should do it according to order of operations, and I'm only going to do one step at a time. So I'm going to begin with 4 minus 7. 4 minus 7 is negative 3. So I'm going to write down 18 divided by 3 squared. I'm not going to do anything else except for that step that I did, that I underlined. Okay. Now the next step I'm going to do is I have 2 exponents. So I can do both of those exponents at the same time because there is no more parentheses. So I'm going to do 3 squared and negative 3 squared. Okay, 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. So here I have 18 divided by 9 minus 6. Now negative 3 in parentheses squared, that's when we have a negative 3 times a negative 3. So that's going to be a positive 9. Alright, so I did all my parentheses, I've done my exponents. Now I have to multiply and divide. I have to go left to right. Well, there's a division here. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So I'm going to do that step only. Okay, I still have another multiplication, so I don't touch the addition subtraction. I do not do 2 minus 6. I do 6 times 9, that's 54, so now I have 2 minus 54 minus 3 times 2 plus 10. Again, I do not do any of the addition subtraction. I got to jump over and do this last multiplication, that's 6. 2 minus 54 minus 6 plus 10. Now I have to add and subtract left to right, so 2 minus 54, I have to do my integer rule, so I add the opposite. So therefore 2 plus negative 54, different signs, I subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. Okay, again I'm going to go left to right, negative 52 minus 6, add the opposite, same sign, add and keep the sign. I got to jump over here, I ran out of room. Negative 58 plus 10, so now the last step is different signs, I subtract, the 58's bigger, so the answer is negative 48. Okay, I'm going to go on to question 5. Alright, question 5 is kind of a big one. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to look inside the brackets, and I'm going to do the one step that's farthest inside the parentheses, which is 2 squared. Now, if you wanted to, you could also do this exponent and this exponent at the same time. So pretty much I'm doing all my exponents first, because inside the brackets, that would have been the first step according to order of operations. So I have negative 6 brackets, 3 plus, notice I'm copying down all the same symbols. 2 squared is 4. Now I'm going to jump over here. This is minus. I haven't done that yet. 5 squared is 25. Plus 2 to the 4. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. Okay, so I still have parentheses. Inside my parentheses I have addition and division. I have to do division next. So now I've got negative 6, 3 plus 16 divided by 4 is 4. And that's the only step I'm going to do, so I have to copy down everything else. I'm not going to leave anything out because I'll forget it later if I do. Okay, I need to finish inside the bracket, so 3 times 4 is 7. So this is negative 6, and then it's times 7, so eventually I'll do that multiplication. Okay, we just now finished what's inside the brackets and parentheses, because these parentheses that are left don't signify parentheses, they signify multiplication. So now I'm ready to do multiplication to left to right and division, which I don't have any division, so negative 6 times 7 is negative 42. I'm not going to touch these addition problems. Okay, again, I'm not going to touch any of the addition problems. I got to go over here and finish my multiplication. So I have negative 42 minus 25 plus 16 plus negative 21. Okay, now I'm ready to do my addition subtraction. I have to go left to right. I can only do one problem at a time, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to add the opposite. Negative 42 plus negative 25 is negative 67. If you have trouble with integers, you should be checking these on your calculator. Negative 67 plus 16, different signs I subtract, that's going to be negative 51. And then lastly, negative 51 plus negative 21, same sign, add and keep the sign, the answer is negative 72. Okay, I'm going to go on to the back of the page and we're going to do problem number 6 next. Okay, problem number 6, another order of operations. So I've got two sets of parentheses, so I need to do the first one left to right. So I'm going to do 7 minus 9. That is negative 2, and notice I'm going to leave it in parentheses. I could go ahead and do this second parentheses if I wanted to, since it doesn't affect anything. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. And again, notice I left it in parentheses. Plus 20 divided by negative 4 times 3. Alright, so now I'm ready to, I'm going to do my exponents next. So negative 2 squared, it's in parentheses, that means I take negative 2 times negative 2, that's 4. Plus, now this is an odd exponent, so negative 3 cubed is not positive. That's negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. This is positive 9 times negative 3. That's going to be a negative 27. Okay, plus 20 divided by negative 4 times 3. Okay, so all my parentheses are done, all my exponents are done. Common mistake here is I will have students do the negative 4 times 3. No, you got to do your multiplication division left to right, and because we have a division that comes first, I should be doing that next. So I'm going to leave 4 plus negative 27 alone, plus 20 divided by negative 4 is negative 5 times 3. And again, I still have a multiplication, so I got to do the negative 5 times 3 next. So 4 plus negative 27 plus negative 15. Okay, addition, subtraction, we have to go left to right. So 4 plus negative 27. Again, this is where a calculator would come in handy. Different signs, you subtract. Keep the sign of the larger number, so negative 23 plus negative 15. Same sign, add and keep the sign, and your answer is negative 38. Okay, I'm going to go on to problem number 7. Okay, this one's a long one because it's got two parts to it. I'm a person that I like to do the top. I like to do the bottom. Whoops. And then I like to make sure I have a final answer spot so I don't forget anything. So if I look at the top, there's something in parentheses, 4 minus 5. So I'm going to have negative 4 squared minus 10. And then 4 minus 5 is negative 1 plus 12 divided by 2 times negative 3. Okay, and again, I got to make sure that I'm only focusing on the top right now. Okay, there's no more parentheses, so I have to do my exponents. Negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4 because it's in parentheses. That's 16 minus 10 times negative 1 plus 12 divided by 2 times negative 3. Okay, that's a negative 3. Alright, so now I'm ready to do multiplication division left to right. So the first one that comes is right here. So I'm going to do 16, and I haven't used the minus. 10 times negative 1 is negative 10 plus 12 divided by 2 times negative 3. Okay, now this is again where you need to make sure you do the division before the multiplication because it comes first. 12 divided by 2 is 6, so now I've got 16 minus negative 10 plus 6 times negative 3. Again, I'm not going to touch any of my addition or subtraction yet. I got to finish up my multiplication. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, so now I've got 16 minus negative 10 plus negative 18. Okay, I'm ready to do 16 minus negative 10, and again I have to add the opposite. 16 plus positive 10 is 26, plus negative 18. Different signs, I subtract, and I keep the bigger sign, so that's 8. So my top number is 8. Alright, I'm ready to start the bottom of the problem now. So in the bottom of the problem, I'm going to do in parentheses 7 minus 4 first. So I have 4 squared minus 12 times 3 squared minus 20. Okay, I'm ready to do exponents, and I'm going to do both of these. 4 squared 16 minus, I'm going to do 3 squared next, that's 9. And again, I haven't touched that 12 yet. Okay, now I've still got a multiplication, so I'm not going to do 16 minus 12. I'm going to do 12 minus 9, or 12 times 9, sorry. When I do 12 times 9, I believe that gives you 108. So I have 16 minus 108 minus 20. Ready to do my integers. Right here, I'm going to add the opposite. 108, or 16 plus negative 108 gives me negative 92, and again, that's a good place to use a calculator. Here, I'm going to add the opposite, and I get same sign, add and keep the sign, that's negative 112. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put negative 112. Now, a lot of you got that answer. The problem with that is that can be reduced. So if I divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, that gives me 4 over negative 56. That divides again, and I'm going to divide it by 2. This one goes a while. And I get 2 over negative 28, and I get that reduces one more time by 2. And when I do that, my final answer is, I put it up here at the top, negative 1/14. So some of you got this answer here, and then you forgot to reduce it, or you didn't reduce it far enough. All right, question number 8. All right, question number 8. First of all, we need to read it. The temperature outside at 2 a.m. is negative 5 degrees. Temperature at 10 p.m. is 21 degrees. What was the temperature change? Change in temperature. So this is not 21 minus 5. This is, we need to think about how a thermometer works. So we have negative 5 here, and we're going to go up to 21. So to go to 21, we got to get to 0 first. So there's a 5 degree change right there from negative 5 to 0. And then we got to go from 0 to 21, so that's a 21 degree change. So the change in temperature that day was 5 plus 21. We should have a 26 degree temperature. All right, lastly, number 9. All right, so question number 9 is a stock problem. Your calculator comes in handy here, but you still have to show the process that you do. So to begin with, it says our stock is going to begin at a value of $56.95 on Monday. So I'm going to write down $56.95. And it says on Tuesday the stock lost $7.38 a share. Well, if I lose, I'm going to subtract. So I subtract $7.38. All right, and if you do this on the calculator, you get $49.57. Now, if you did it by hand, I'll show you how I did that too. So here, I would make this an 8 and borrow. Give that a 1. 15 minus 8 is 7. 8 minus 3 is 5. 6, I can't take 7 from 6, so I borrow from the 5 and make it a 4. Carry a 1. 16 minus 7 is 9, and then I have a 4 left. Okay, so now we're up to Wednesday. On Wednesday, the stock gains 11.14. So gain means we're going to add 11.14. If you used your calculator, it came out to be, I think it's 60.71. Yeah, 60.71. I'll check that here in just a second when I do the work. All right, so when I actually do the work, 7 and 4 is 11. So, of course, I would carry a 1. 5, 1, and 1 is 7. 9 and 1 is 10. Carry a 1. 4, 5, 6, 60, 71. All right, we are up to Thursday. So on Thursday, the stock lost 345. So now I'm going to take my 60, 71, and I have to subtract 345. Again, if you do that on the calculator, my answer comes out to 5726. If you do it by hand, I'll go through that process again. Let's see, I have to borrow from the 7 to make it a 6, carry a 1. 11 minus 5 is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. Borrow from the 6, make it a 5. 10 minus 3 is 7. And then, of course, I have my 5. So the final answer to number 9 was 5726. And on the test tomorrow, if you show the process and do it by hand, use your calculator to check your work. Okay, so that should end on your corrections. Make sure you attach your corrections to the actual exit card to be able to turn that in Tuesday. And don't forget, you still need to do all your review sheets tonight. All right, have a good day.